Dear seekers, in life storms will come. Sometimes as thunder in the sky, other times as whispers in your mind. The goal is not to stop the wind, but to train yourself not to be moved by it. To be unbothered is not indifference. It is mastery over your reactions. It is presence without disturbance. Just as the mountain does not chase away clouds, it simply remains. Let me share with you 5 habits, 5 steps on the path of becoming unmoved by the noise of the world. Before the sun rises, before the noise of the world pulls your attention outward, there is a moment of pure stillness waiting for you to notice it. In that quiet space, before the weight of the day settles onto your shoulders, lies your opportunity to train yourself to get unbothered. This is the power of morning grounding, not as a task or a routine, but as a ritual of returning to yourself. The world is filled with constant movement. From the moment you wake up, notifications light up your screen, thoughts begin racing, responsibilities knock on your door, but all of these things are external. The real storm begins when you allow them inside, when your inner world becomes a mirror of outer chaos. Morning grounding is the practice of separating yourself from that noise before it ever begins. It's not about escaping life, it's about preparing yourself to meet it without losing your center. Before doing anything else, sit in stillness. You don't need incense or candles or the perfect meditation cushion. You don't need music or motivation. All you need is your presence. Sit where you are, close your eyes, let the breath become your anchor, feel it rise and fall, soft and natural. As you breathe in, become aware of your body sitting in space. As you breathe out, allow the muscles to soften and your grip on thoughts to loosen. Most people jump into the day already full of stress from yesterday, full of fears about tomorrow. Grounding is about becoming empty again, not in a passive way, but in a powerful way. Like the empty cup that can be filled with clean water, the empty mind can receive clarity, but it cannot be forced, it must be allowed. Listen to what your body is holding. Is it tension in your chest, a tightness in your jaw, a restless tapping in your leg? These are not random, they are signs, messages from your inner world telling you what needs attention. Listen also to your thoughts. What story is playing without your permission? Are you already arguing with someone in your head? Are you repeating today's disappointment? Are you predicting today's failure? Don't argue with the mind, just observe it. And then ask one question. What am I carrying that does not belong to me? This question is a key. It opens the door to release. Because so much of what disturbs our peace is not ours. The fear that came from someone else's opinion, the urgency that came from someone else's deadline, the anger you borrowed from someone else's mood. When you identify what is not truly yours, you reclaim your space, and that space is powerful. In that space you can choose. You can decide how to respond. You can decide what to allow in and what to let go. The morning is not a time for reaction, it is a time for intention. That's why it is sacred. If you begin the day already ungrounded, you are like a leaf in the wind. Every email, every comment, every glance will control your state. But if you begin from a grounded place, you become the tree, present, aware, rooted. The wind may blow, but it cannot move your roots. One of the most misunderstood ideas in modern life is that peace comes from fixing the outside. If I change this job, this partner, this schedule, then I will feel better. But this is a trap. Because the outside will never stop changing. The only true peace comes from mastering the inside, and that mastery begins in the morning. Make this time non-negotiable. Even 5 minutes before the world starts asking for you is enough to create distance between your peace and its chaos. Do not let your first act of the day be consumption. Not messages, not news, not scrolling. Let it be reflection. Let it be alignment. Let it be breathing into who you really are before the masks go on. This is how you train yourself to get unbothered, not by avoiding life, but by preparing for it with clarity and presence. When you start the day with your feet in the earth of your own awareness, you stop being controlled by every step that follows. You begin to respond from choice, not from habit. You begin to speak with intention, not from reaction. You begin to feel what is real and let go of what is noise. Morning grounding is not an escape from responsibility. It is the preparation for it. You are not sitting to ignore life. You are sitting so that when you enter life, you can stay upright. When others are pulled in 10 directions, you remain steady. When the world rushes to respond, you pause and act with purpose. It is in this stillness that you train not just your mind but your spirit. And over time, what once shook you will pass like wind through open windows. The thoughts that once overwhelmed you will become like birdsong, noticed but not followed. And you will begin to understand that being unbothered is not about avoiding pain. It is about no longer being controlled by it. There is strength in stillness. There is courage in calm. And it begins before the day begins. Breathe, listen, return to yourself. In your path toward becoming unbothered, one of the greatest shifts you must make is learning to observe without absorbing. This is not a cold detachment from life. It is the art of being present without becoming entangled. The world around you will never stop moving. People will continue to speak, act, and react from their own level of awareness. Emotions will rise like tides in conversations, glances, messages, and even in silence. But the practice is to stay rooted in your own inner space, untouched by the passing waves of other people's emotions and energies. Each day you walk through a field of invisible energies. Some of them are warm and uplifting, while others are heavy, sharp, restless. Without awareness, you become a sponge, absorbing everything you touch. You wake up feeling calm, but after a few minutes around stressed people, your heartbeat rises, your breath shortens, your mood shifts. To observe without absorbing is to live with open eyes and a closed gate. It is to witness everything and carry nothing that is not meant for you. When someone speaks to you with anger, the untrained mind reacts. It takes the anger personally. It matches fire with fire or fear. But the trained mind pauses. It watches the anger arrive like a wave. It hears the tone, sees the energy, feels the tension in the room, but it does not take it in. It simply lets the wave pass. That power is not coldness, it is compassion with boundaries. You do not lose your heart, you only protect your inner fire from being extinguished by someone else's storm. This protection is not built in walls or withdrawal, it is built in awareness. You do not need to fight to be free, you only need to recognize what is not yours. Most people walk through life, reacting, not responding. They take every word, every glance, every post as a personal signal. Their inner peace is at the mercy of what others do or don't do. This is not freedom. This is slavery to external circumstances. When you learn to observe the world without letting it enter you, you begin to step into true inner strength. This practice begins in small moments. Someone speaks to you in a harsh tone. Pause, breathe, ask inside, is this mine? Does this belong to me? Most often it does not. Their frustration is theirs, their fear is theirs, their judgment is theirs. Let them have it. Do not carry what you did not drop, just observe. Let the words come, let them pass. Like clouds drifting in the sky, they do not touch the sky itself. Some people may misunderstand this calm. They may call you distant or cold. Let them. That is their perception. Your task is not to explain your peace to those who benefit from your chaos. Your task is to remain rooted, to keep your energy your own, to choose what enters and what stays outside. To observe is to listen with the whole body. It is to see what others miss, the tremble behind someone's anger, the fear behind their control, the pain behind their judgment. And when you can see these things without absorbing them, you begin to live with both clarity and compassion. You do not react because you understand. You do not absorb because you respect your space. You must learn the difference between empathy and self-abandonment. Feeling with someone is not the same as drowning with them. You can reach into the water to help, but do not throw yourself in without a rope. That rope is your awareness. That rope is the reminder that your peace is not a sacrifice for someone else's comfort. In every moment, life offers you a choice, to absorb or to observe. Choose to observe. Let things be as they are. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to argue with reality. You don't have to carry other people's emotions as proof of your care. Real care is presence without pressure. Train your senses to become witnesses, not victims. When tension rises in a room, notice it, but don't internalize it. When gossip circles around you, hear it, but don't carry it. When expectations are placed upon you, observe them, but choose from your own alignment. You are not a container for the world's noise. You are a space of stillness that the noise cannot enter unless you open the door. This habit changes everything. You sleep better, you breathe deeper, you speak less but mean more. You stop over-explaining, overreacting, overthinking. Why? Because you are not absorbing the drama, the fear, the urgency of others. You are only observing. And in that space between stimulus and response, you find your power. There is great strength in silence. Not the silence of repression, but the silence of mastery. When you can watch something rise and fall without clinging to it or pushing it away, you have stepped into real freedom. This freedom is not loud. It does not need to prove itself. It is calm, simple, whole. To get unbothered is to train your inner self to be untouchable by what is not aligned with your peace. It is not isolation, it is clarity. It is the inner knowing that you are allowed to hold your energy sacred, that you are allowed to walk away from what drains you, that you are allowed to protect your peace without apology. Breathe, stand, observe, let it pass. The mind speaks before you do, and often much louder than anyone else ever hears it. It is with you, always whispering, sometimes shouting, giving its opinion about everything before your day even begins. What many people fail to realize is that the most powerful influence in their life is not the voice of others, but the voice they hear when no one else is around. To train yourself to be unbothered, you must begin to discipline this inner dialogue, not silence it, but guide it. Not fight it, but educate it. Every reaction you have starts first as a conversation inside. You get criticized, and before you reply, the voice inside already says, maybe they're right, maybe I'm not good enough. Someone ignores you and the voice says, I'm not valued again. A delay happens in your plans and the voice says, nothing ever works for me. These thoughts are fast, subtle, automatic, and if you don't watch them, they become the script you live by. To gain true peace, you must become the master of this script. That means you must listen to how you speak to yourself and then train it the way a monk trains the body, through repetition, consistency, and clarity. The first step is to notice the pattern. What are the sentences that show up again and again when things go wrong? Are they based in fear, in shame, in insecurity? You must see them clearly, not judge them, not push them away, just recognize them as echoes of the past, not facts of the present. Most of this internal voice was not created by you consciously. It was shaped by years of conditioning, by people, by environments, by wounds, a teacher's comment, a parent's tone, a failure that you never forgot. These moments leave impressions, and from those impressions the mind builds conclusions. The child who was ignored becomes the adult who thinks they don't matter. The student who failed once becomes the adult who doubts their potential. These thoughts are inherited like old clothes, but you do not have to keep wearing them. Once you see the pattern, you begin the work of rewiring. This is not done with force, but with presence. When the voice says, you always mess up, pause, breathe, and ask, is this true or is this familiar? When it says they don't care about you, stop and ask, what evidence do I really have? Or is this an old fear repeating itself? Slowly, patiently, you replace old noise with new clarity. One powerful method is to speak to yourself the way a wise teacher would. Not with flattery, not with lies, but with compassion and strength. You remind yourself, I am still learning. I don't have to be perfect to be valuable. I can make mistakes and still be worthy. These are not just phrases, they are anchors that hold you steady when the storm of old thoughts rises again. Another method is to create intentional pauses. When something goes wrong, when someone criticizes you, when you feel the tightness in your chest from a moment of discomfort, don't respond immediately. Stop. Close your eyes if you can. Find the breath. Ask the mind, what story are you trying to tell me? Then choose a new response, not based on fear, but based on truth. Not based on habit, but based on awareness. This is not easy, but it is simple. It is done not once, but daily. Like a martial artist trains each strike until it becomes natural, you train each thought until your inner language becomes rooted in peace instead of panic. You are not silencing the mind, you are teaching it to speak in alignment with who you are becoming, not who you were. Many people try to ignore the voice. They distract themselves, they numb themselves, they overwork themselves. But what you ignore only grows stronger in the dark. What you bring to light loses its grip. So do not fear your thoughts. Meet them, sit with them, listen, and then gently take back the pen. You are the author now. Rewrite what needs to be rewritten. Sometimes the mind will resist. It will try to pull you back to the old stories. That's normal, that's part of the process. Smile at it. Say, I know this story and I no longer believe it. Then return to the breath, return to the body, return to the truth of the moment, which is that you are safe, present, and capable of choice. When you train your inner dialogue, you become your own protector. You no longer depend on outside validation to feel seen. You no longer crumble when someone disagrees. You no longer need everyone's approval to rest in your own value. Your peace comes not from perfect circumstances, but from a disciplined mind that knows how to stay still in the middle of noise. This discipline is a gift you give yourself. It frees you from being your own enemy. It allows you to become a true friend to your inner world. And from that place you walk into the world, not needing to react to everything, not needing to prove yourself, not needing to be understood by everyone. You become calm, not because life is easy, but because your mind is no longer your battlefield. Choose each word you speak to yourself as if it matters, because it does. There is a quiet power in protecting your energy that few truly understand until they've been drained enough times to feel the emptiness it leaves behind. Not all tiredness comes from effort. Sometimes it comes from allowing too much in. Too many voices, too many demands, too much noise from the outside world leaking into your inner space. And when that happens over time, your peace becomes thin, your thoughts become scattered, and your reactions become louder than your intention. To train yourself to get unbothered, you must create and protect a ritual that nourishes you without asking anything from you. This is not selfishness, it is maintenance. Just like a sword must be cleaned or a lamp must be refueled, your energy must be restored. You cannot pour into life from an empty container. You cannot meet chaos with calm if you've given all your calm away before the day even starts. That is why you need a ritual, a space, a simple practice that reminds your body and your mind that your inner state is your responsibility, not the world. This ritual doesn't have to be long or complicated. It doesn't need a perfect room or a schedule. It only needs intention. It can be as simple as 5 minutes of silence in the morning, or stepping outside and standing barefoot on the earth. It can be brewing your tea with presence instead of rushing through it. It can be a slow walk without headphones, where your only goal is to notice the way the wind moves or the rhythm of your breath. These acts might seem small, but they are sacred when done with awareness. What matters is that this ritual is consistent and yours. It should not be something you only do when you have time. It should be something you protect even when life is busy, especially when life is busy, because when the outside world becomes more demanding, your need for inner space becomes even more vital. If you don't return to yourself regularly, you will begin to lose the clarity of what is yours and what belongs to others. You'll start carrying emotions that don't originate from you. You'll start reacting to situations that don't truly matter. You'll start forgetting what it feels like to be still and clear. Your ritual is not a reward after a long day. It is a preparation for the day ahead. It is your shield, your grounding, your sanctuary. It teaches your nervous system that it is safe. It reminds your mind that it can slow down. It tells your spirit that it has not been forgotten. And the more you return to this practice, the more natural it becomes to stay unbothered when things don't go your way, or when people behave unpredictably, or when life throws noise in your direction. There is something very powerful about choosing to protect your energy in a world that constantly demands it. Every moment, someone or something is asking for a part of your attention. Messages, calls, headlines, responsibilities, opinions, they are always knocking on your door. And if you don't know how to say not now, or not today, or not ever, you'll be left with no space to hear your own thoughts, let alone your own needs. This ritual is your way of saying yes to yourself, not in a loud dramatic way, but in a quiet intentional one. It is not a rejection of the world, it is a remembering of who you are, without the noise. You come back to your center so that when you do face the world, you do it from a place of fullness, not frustration. You speak with presence instead of pressure. You act from choice instead of reaction. Even when things go wrong, this habit holds you. You've trained yourself to return. You've trained your body to recognize stillness, not as boredom, but as medicine. You've trained your mind to stop chasing everything that moves and instead to rest where it is. And slowly the world's chaos stops feeling personal. You see it for what it is, movement, not meaning. You are not cold for stepping away. You are not selfish for protecting your quiet time. You are simply remembering that your energy is not infinite and that your peace is sacred. You do not need to prove your worth by always being available. You do not need to earn rest by burning out first. You do not need permission to take 5 minutes alone in a world that never pauses. This is part of discipline, not just training your thoughts but training your life to support peace. Creating boundaries that allow growth. Saying yes to small acts that have big meaning. Lighting a candle before bed. Journaling without judgment. Stretching before sunrise. These moments are not about the action itself, but about the message you send yourself. I matter. My peace matters. I choose this moment for me. And from this place your reactions become quieter, your decisions become clearer, your presence becomes stronger. People will feel the shift, even if they don't understand it. They may ask what changed, and you won't need to explain. You'll simply know. You've trained yourself not just to handle life, but to meet it from a space that is not easily shaken. Return to your ritual. Let it return you to yourself again and again. There is something deeply transformative that happens when you stop needing everyone to understand you, when you let go of trying to explain yourself, justify yourself, prove yourself to people who have already decided what they want to see. This freedom is not about being distant, it is about conserving your energy for what actually matters. The more you grow, the more you will see that not every connection deserves clarity, not every misunderstanding needs fixing, and not every voice needs an answer. To train yourself to get unbothered, you must stop expecting understanding from those who are not committed to seeing you clearly. People carry their own lenses, shaped by their past, their pain, their beliefs, their fears. When they look at you, they are often not seeing you. They are seeing their own reflection projected onto your words, your silence, your choices. If you keep trying to explain yourself to everyone, you will exhaust yourself, running in circles around interpretations that were never yours to control. Freedom begins when you release that burden and recognize that some people misunderstand you because it serves their comfort, not because of your truth. This does not mean you stop communicating. It means you stop over-explaining. You say what is honest and then you let it stand. You give the truth its space and allow others to meet it if they choose. But you do not force it, you do not beg for it, you do not shrink for it. When your peace depends on being understood, you are always vulnerable to someone else's opinion. But when your peace comes from alignment with yourself, then even in silence you are whole. The mind often clings to being understood, as if it's proof that we're right, as if clarity from others will finally give us permission to rest. But it won't, because even when someone understands today, they might not tomorrow. Even when someone agrees today, they might change tomorrow. You cannot build your stillness on shifting ground. You must return inward again and again to ask, am I being true to what I know? Am I walking in integrity with what I feel? If the answer is yes, then you have your anchor. Many people fear being misunderstood because they believe it makes them alone. But there is a loneliness far greater than being misunderstood, and that is betraying your own knowing just to be accepted. That kind of loneliness follows you even when you are surrounded by approval. It is heavy and quiet and painful. So choose the other path. Be willing to be misread if it means being true. Be willing to walk away if the cost of staying is the abandonment of your clarity. You are not here to convince everyone. You are here to live what you know to be real. The more you try to explain yourself, the more you invite confusion where it's not needed. Because people don't hear your words, they hear through their state of being. If they are peaceful, they'll understand even your silence. If they are chaotic, they'll misunderstand even your kindness. And that has nothing to do with you. To train yourself to be unbothered is to accept that sometimes the greatest power is in letting others think what they want while you keep moving. It is not arrogance, it is maturity. It is the knowing that time reveals everything. It is the trust that your consistency, your silence, your walk will speak louder than any argument ever could. This is a higher kind of strength, the kind that does not need to shout, the kind that rests in itself. In this space, you save your energy. You stop bleeding time and thought trying to correct people who never cared to listen in the first place. You use that energy instead to grow, to create, to deepen your stillness. And you begin to see the gift in being misunderstood. You realize it is a kind of filter. It reveals who is willing to pause and see, and who is only looking for something to judge. Let it reveal, let it sort, let it clear the space around you. Every time you choose peace over proving, you grow. Every time you allow silence to stand in place of explanation, you become lighter. You begin to feel the quiet confidence that says, I do not need to be seen to stay rooted. I do not need to be liked to feel worthy. I do not need your agreement to live my truth. This is the calm that cannot be shaken. When you live from this place, you start to see how much of your past stress was born not from life itself, but from the need to be understood by people who were not ready. You see how many times you bent your truth to fit into someone else's box. You see how many moments of clarity were clouded by your own desire to explain what never needed to be explained. And you release it all with grace. You choose stillness not as a retreat but as a practice. You choose your own understanding over the temporary comfort of being seen by others. You choose to be misread today if it means staying faithful to what is right inside of you. And in that choice, you stop being shaken every time someone misunderstands you, or mislabels you, or misjudges your silence. Walk your path with peace. Speak when it adds light. Stay silent when it protects your energy. And trust that what is real does not need to be forced.